And so, to start things off, I am going to be looking into a little thing that I would like to call a trailer review extravaganza. Yes, this week we have actually gotten a giant batch of trailers. Not just of movies that we've already gotten trailers before, but also our first look into these movies. And you know, it's actually really coincidental. Like, this was something that I've recently found out, is that we have gotten 4 trailers of animated features, and each one of them would come from a different season. So we got the first one, which is going to be coming out in the spring. Then afterwards, we got another one coming out in the summer. Then afterwards, we got one in the fall. And then finally, the last one that we have is going to be coming in next winter. So it's a little bit of a coincidence. So we got animated trailers of the season. So it actually really does connect very well, and really quite coincidental for this week to have them all at once. So first things first, let us go and look into the movie that we will get in the spring, which is actually really close and just less than a month from when I'm recording this, which is Sony Pictures Animation's Smurfs: The Lost Village. And when it comes to Smurfs: The Lost Village, we have already gotten a few trailers beforehand. We have already seen what the animation is going to look like, how everything is going to be set up, but this time they brought out a brand new trailer that would reveal a lot more of what the movie will hold. And I think the biggest strength about this trailer, and honestly, coming from me, I can't believe I'm saying this, but oh my god, they really executed so well in the animation. Like, that's probably the biggest selling point of this movie, is that it really is going to be a visual spectacle. Once they get into the Forbidden Forest and we see the magical land that it holds, it actually really does look nice. It's like the colors are very vibrant, and on top of that, the monsters and all the different creatures and the plants that they have in there, they are very creative. Honestly, like, this is probably the first time in a long time that I would ever see a trailer coming from a Sony Pictures Animation film, and I don't feel embarrassed or I don't feel stupid, that it doesn't feel like it's degrading the medium or anything like that. Like, this legitimately now feels like it's coming from artists who actually know what they're doing this time. So in the animation front, it definitely feels like it's really going to deliver something that is absolutely going to be visually pleasing. But with that said, though, even though that would be the best selling point, there is something that I am still a little bit iffy about and a little bit concerned. And that is going to be in terms of the writing. From the trailer that I've seen from this trailer that I've seen, I'm still not convinced regarding the characters and the humor. There really isn't anything that I laughed at that I've already thought it was funny in the first trailer. And in here, like, whatever new brand of humor that they would bring in this trailer, it just doesn't seem as funny. And I don't feel as connected, or I don't feel, you know, like, I don't feel like I'm rooting for these characters. Rather it be the old Smurfs that we already know about, or the new Smurfs that they end up discovering. So yeah, in this trailer, it does feel like it's going into more spoiler territory, because now we know that in the Lost Village, it's going to be featured with Girl Smurfs, which is the origins of Smurfette. So I don't know. It's just that that's my biggest concern, is going to be the writing. Now, I've already seen so many people out there that they're already praising this trailer, pretty much saying that it's already way better than the Smurfs movies. And that I can absolutely agree. Like, this definitely does feel like this is going to be a lot better than Sony Animation's previous adventures with the Smurfs. And there's no way in hell that this movie is going to be really low in the levels of either the Smurfs or the Smurfs 2. In fact, it's not going to be a disaster like the Muslim ban, which coincidentally, the Muslim ban and the Smurf movies actually both have something very much in common. There are two different variations of it, and they both came out as disasters. Alright, now, but all joking aside though, from what I'm expecting from this trailer is that, I don't think it's going to be a bad movie, but I don't really expect it to be one of the best animated features of the year. It's going to be probably something more in the lines of maybe what we got last year with the Angry Birds movie, where in terms of the animation, it absolutely does deliver, but the story and the writing and the characters and all that stuff, it's not going to be as strong. Like, yes, the ultimate defense for this is that it's going to be better than the Smurf movies, but is that going to be enough to really make it a huge hit? Is it going to be really successful? Is it really going to bring in audiences and bring in a new batch of fans for the Smurfs? That's the one concern that I do have. Like, it's going to be an upgrade, but is it only going to be a small upgrade? Who knows? But so far, I'm actually rather impressed with what they have in this trailer, or at the very least, I'm impressed with what they have visually. So we'll just wait. We'll just wait and see with what the Smurf has to deliver in April. Okay, so with that said, moving right along, we now have the movie in the summertime, which in this case is going to be Despicable Me 3. Now, we've already gotten our first trailer before, and it's a little bit more of a teaser trailer showing a little bit of a scene with Groot pretty much trying to stop Balthazar Brad, who is the new villain of this film, and he's pretty much entirely themed on the 80s. But in this one, we have a little bit more of a story, and Balthazar Brad is actually not present in here, but we actually have a brand new character who is Drew, which is Groot's long-lost brother. So we do have a little bit of an idea of what this story actually is. So Groot and his family, apparently things aren't really going well for them, considering that because of what we've seen in the first teaser trailer, they actually ended up being fired from their job, and things aren't looking as well. But then, suddenly, Drew decided to go invite Groot, who is the long-lost twin, and still played by Steve Carell. And Drew really wants to get back in the supervillain business, and want to go back with it with Groot. So they decided to go and collaborate together to get back into their villainy roots. And you do see a little bit of their origins, kind of like the long line of the Groot family. And this is actually where you do get a bit of that same immaturity. If you guys remember way back in the Despicable Me 2 trailer, you may recall that there is that little sense of like immature humor from the Minions, and it actually really became popular. Like, we do get another one like this where you enter into the hallway and you see like statues of the Gru family, where you see like different variations of Gru as supervillains, and then you got this female Gru in which one of the Minions just look at it and he just goes, "It's a Gru with the boobs." Like, honestly, it is a cute little addition and a nice little throwback of just the immature style humor that sometimes the Despicable movies would have. It's fun. It's stupid, absolutely, but, that's kind of the charm of Despicable Me. But yeah, so overall, this is just showing a little bit of the story that it would revolve around Gru's relationship with his long-lost twin brother, Drew. And with that said, I actually really like this idea because it actually does stick with the grand theme of the movies, which is about family. Like, when you look back in the first movie, the element of family there is Gru and his relationship with the little girls. And then when you look into the second movie, it's about Gru and his relationship with Lucy potentially becoming a love interest and also maybe a mother figure to the little girls. And now we got the third movie, which is going to be looking into brotherly love. So maybe this could be the guy version of Frozen. Who knows? But yeah, that's kind of the idea that we could be getting in here. And I really do like it. And so far with the Despicable Me movies, they really do execute that well, because not only does the Despicable Me films would have a lot of humor, but it also has a lot of heart. It really does hold a lot of great substance to it, and that's what I really do appreciate from these films. And seeing that there's a new version coming out of it in this form, I really do like it. I think this is a great idea. It definitely does seem like a lot of fun. And one thing that this trailer definitely has over the Smurf trailer is that, yeah, sure, maybe Smurfs is a lot more visually appealing, but in here, it definitely has the humor. This is where the writing has a bigger strength in here, where you do have a little bit of a heart, not just with the relationship between Gru and Drew, but also with the relationship that he already has with Lucy and the little girls. But also the humor is fantastic. Honestly, it's just... this is kind of the same batch of humor that you would get from the previous Despicable Me films, and they have been pretty effective and really well done so far. And this just continues on with the tradition that you do get the same style of high-tech gadget Wile E. Coyote style humor, and also sharing a little bit of the same wit. And even at the end, you do get a little bit of an additional plot point where maybe even the minions actually do play a bigger part in this movie, where after they reveal the title of Despicable Me 3, they would show the minions kind of I wouldn't say revolting, but they want to go against Gru because the minions want to go back in the realm of villainy. Gru is not fully convinced that he's going back in the same territory of his origins of being a supervillain and stuff like that, but the minions really want to go back in that route. And there's at one point when one of the minions, they would show an entire slideshow of comparing Gru with his achievements as a supervillain, and then Gru with his achievements of being a house dad. It's like, Kitabido? Ah! Kibarmide! Ah! Kibabido? Ah! Kibabide! Ah! And all that kind of stuff. It actually is rather pretty funny, and, it actually is pretty interesting to see that maybe that the minions will probably play more of a part in this. They're not just going to be a plot point like in Despicable Me 2, or not a plot point, but I mean more they're just going to be used more as a weapon in a way, like in Despicable Me 2, where they ended up being taken by the villain in the second film to be turned into these purple monsters and stuff like that. This one, the minions are going to feel more legitimate characters with an actual arc, with an actual development. So that's going to be pretty interesting. So yeah, with Despicable Me 3, that's pretty much going to be coming out in June, so we'll wait and see how that goes so far. And now let us go into a bit of a colder weather right now, where we are entering upon the latest Pixar film, not the latest, but the one that's going to be coming after Cars 3 when we're done with the whole hype of Lightning McQueen might possibly be dying, and then we hear that little kid in the back going, Lightning! If you've seen the trailer, you know exactly what I mean. But anyways, as you may know, in 2017, there are going to be 2 Pixar films this year, kind of like how last year we actually got 2 films from Walt Disney Animation Studios with Zootopia and Moana. Now, this year we are going to be getting Cars 3 and also Coco. But with Coco, we know absolutely nothing about it. All we know is that this is going to be a Pixar film with the whole theme of Dia de los Muertos. But in here, we have officially gotten our first look into what Coco could be. And so far, this is just an entire setup on who the main character is and what his adventure is going to be. So in here, we actually got our main character, which I believe his name is Miguel. Yes, his name is Miguel. and he looks up to his he has a massive idol that he looks up to known as Ernesto de la Cruz. So he is a huge fan. He has like this entire mural devoted to him. And you know, what he really loves from Ernesto is the fact that he has this huge passion of music, and he even has his own guitar where he would go and play music. It wouldn't be until he decided to go into some kind of museum or something, and he would pick up he would pick up Ernesto's guitar, and he just wants to go and try it out. But once he did try out Ernesto's guitar, suddenly things start to get a little bit weird as he is seeing himself enter upon the land of the dead, where he's starting to see skeletons walking around, and he's entering upon this brand new world, which is the land of the dead on the Day of the Dead. In a way, the one thing that when I look at this trailer with the way that it's setting everything up, the first thing that I actually think of, believe it or not, is actually Spirited Away. You know, it really does have a bit of that, you know, like it has a bit of that similarities if you really do think about it. Like, you got this kid, and then suddenly, like, he entered into this strange area, and suddenly the kid did something to where now he is starting to see a lot more ghosts all around the kid, and suddenly he finds himself in this magical world. So yeah, it definitely has that parallel with Spirited Away. But again, like, we don't really know a lot about this. This is just a teaser trailer, and it is hinting that there could be more information coming. Like, there was at one point when like Miguel just picks up a picture, and then suddenly he realizes that his long lost father could actually be his idol, Ernesto de la Cruz. Well, maybe that might not be the case, but the teaser trailer at least is hinting that. And also another aspect that it is hinting is that the animation is going to be absolutely grand. I mean, there is no denying that Pixar can do so much magic with their animation. Even to this day, some people still consider them the kings of computer animation. And what they have delivered here, I mean, the best scene has to be so far when Miguel takes his first look at the land of the dead, and you see this giant area. Hold on, I'm just yeah, there we go. Like this, like, you just see this giant land where it's like filled with numerous of houses, and you see all the different colors and lights, and it really does look beautiful there. And also, I gotta say, with the animation itself, it actually really does look great. Like, I really love the character design in here. You don't really get a lot. You mostly get the designs of Ernesto de la Cruz, you get the designs of Miguel, and you do see a little bit of the skeletons, and that's pretty much it. And then you also got the entire land of the dead. And yeah, like, you don't really get a lot, but it is very promising that the animation is going to be very phenomenal. But also, the one thing that is absolutely unavoidable when talking about Coco, I know that the internet is doing so many freaking shenanigans, and I'm sure that both Lee Unkrich and Jorge Gutierrez is a little bit tired of seeing all this crazy commotion going on about it, is the comparisons with the Book of Life. Now, even though, yes, it's true, these movies are like 3 years separate apart. So, yeah, like, you can't really make direct comparisons to it. It's not like too much similarities, but they both are computer animated features with the theme of the land of the dead. So people are pretty much treating it right now like it's the next Bugs Life versus Ants, or Madagascar versus the Wild, or Despicable Me versus Megamind, you know, stuff like that. Like, even though, yes, they both have similarities, but you could tell that there is more of a difference, honestly. Like, you can absolutely differentiate with Coco and the Book of Life. With the Book of Life, what Jorge Gutierrez did is that he incorporated more of his unique art style on top of also putting in more of a comedic tone onto it. Like, that's the one thing about the Book of Life. Like, even though it is more of your typical animated feature in terms of the tone that it's trying to go with, its humor, and and trying to be a little bit more, how can I put this, abstract with its art style. It's not necessarily going in a realistic route. Like I said, Jorge Gutierrez has a very unique art style that he puts onto the Book of Life, and I have to admit, it is really clever with the way that he did put it in by making all the characters as like wooden puppets or wooden figures. That is actually really cool. While with Coco, on the other hand, or at least with the tone that we have in the trailer, it's a lot more serious. Like I said, this is exactly why I have more of a feeling of Spirited Away, more so than I did with the Book of Life. The tone is going to be emphasized a lot more on the whimsical aspect, on the magic of it, on the boy's passion of music, and, his fanboyism over Ernesto de la Cruz. So it may actually turn out to be fantastic. Now, usually when it comes to trailers, when Disney would make them, usually they really underplay it. And who knows, this might even turn out to be probably the best animated feature of the year, so we can't really judge it for what it is right now. But either way, I definitely am impressed with what we got in terms of the trailer, and also with a bit of the character development with what we got with Miguel. So we'll just have to wait and see in the fall, when this movie is going to be coming out in November, to see if it's really going to be worth it, if it's going to be the next big Pixar movie, or if it's just going to be a Book of Life clone. Who knows what's going to happen. And finally, we now have our final trailer, which is a movie that's not going to be coming out this year, but in 2018, in early 2018, which is the next Aardman film, Early Man. And already, this movie is getting massive hype for it, or at the very least, massive hype with the animation community, considering that the people behind it, yeah, they got an amazing reputation. I mean, number one, it's made by Aardman Animation, and already they've gotten a great reputation in terms of making stop-motion animated features, and even just making stop-motion works in general. And two, this is going to be directed by Nick Park, one of the key players at Pixar, and the man who is responsible for the company's biggest characters. I'm talking about Wallace and Gromit, Shaun the Sheep, and also the man behind Chicken Run, the movie that is responsible for the Oscars to make Best Animated Feature. So with the two combined together, it's going to be pretty interesting. So with the teaser trailer that we got, or at least the one that I took from Aardman Animation's official YouTube page, it actually did start out with the voice of the main character called Doug, who is Academy Award winning and also Newt Scamander himself, Eddie Redmayne, giving us a little introduction, saying that he's taking a little break from his voiceover performance as Doug, just to give a little bit of the introduction. But then, what ends up happening is that we do get a little bit of a teaser of what's going on. We don't know what the story is in general, but this is just a little teaser showing us what the animation is going to look like, and also a bit of the movie, of the movie's humor also. Where in here, the best way to describe it is that this is absolutely going back into the classic cartoons. This is going back into like classic Looney Tunes cartoons in a way, where you do get Nick Park's signature stop motion style, where you got the characters looking exactly like how they would in Wallace and Gromit, where even like Doug looks exactly like a caveman Wallace, and then you also got this wild boar who can easily be interpreted as Gromit. And like at one point you just see that Doug is trying to hunt this rabbit, but he also has like an entire crew, or probably his entire family, trying to set up the music, and it's pretty much breaking his mojo. But then they look at the rabbit and they realize it's like this evil carnivorous rabbit, so everybody is pretty much running away. Like, you just see this giant crowd running away from this tiny little bunny, and then they hit a rock, and then up shows the title. And that's pretty much all that you get, and it really is cute. Like I said, it's a massive throwback to the classic cartoons with the silly humor and, you know, just this larger-than-life style of execution of it. It's a lot of fun. You could definitely tell that this is going to be this is going to be a movie that could probably emphasize a little bit more on the humor. Maybe they'll probably do something a little bit extra with the animation, but who knows with what they can do. I mean, with Wallace and Gromit, it sticks to the tone of the original shorts, and it does play along with the comedy horror aspect. And with Chicken Run, that one is also comedic as well, but you also get more of the action comedy. Now with Early Man, man, we don't know what's going to be going on, but maybe this is just going to be pure comedy. Maybe we're not going to see so much of a blend or something like that. Maybe it will have some action as well, where they're going to include some dinosaurs. But for the most part, it definitely did sold me on the comedy aspect of it. So who knows what's going to happen? There really isn't much to say about Early Man, but yeah, this is going to be coming out in 2018, actually, in February 2018. So yeah, that's pretty much the whole round of the trailers that we got so far. So just a little recap. We got the Smurfs, which even though the writing doesn't look promising, the animation actually does. We then also got Despicable Me 3, which looks like it's going to stay true with the entire series, and it does look like it's going to give us a batch of great humor and also great heart as well. And then we also got Coco, which it does have a bit of a Spirited Away vibe with the theme of the Day of the Dead, so that might actually have some promise. And then we got Early Man, which actually gave us some nice little cartoon-style humor, greatly executed by the people at Aardman and also Nick Park. So who knows what's going to happen, but yeah. For those of you excited to see the Smurfs, keep in mind that movie is going to be coming out on April 7th. Now, if you're excited to go and see Despicable Me 3, that movie is going to be coming out on June 30th. If you guys are anticipating to go see Coco, that movie is going to be coming out on November 22nd. And finally, if you are excited to see Early Man, then that movie is going to be coming out on February 2018. Hey guys, this is Animat. I just want to remind you guys that this is just a little taste of what you can get with the Animation Podcast. This is not all of it. If you guys want to go and listen to the full episodes of the Animation Podcast, then allow me to show you some of the different ways that you can go. First off, you can actually go on the website that it is hosted on, Filmbook, so you can go directly onto there. You can also go and check out the official Filmbook Podcast YouTube page, so at least you don't have to go away from YouTube and you can listen to the podcast right there. But if you would like to listen on the go, like if you want to listen it to on your phone or on your iPad and all that kind of stuff, then you can listen to it on either iTunes or you can listen to it on Android. So those are all the different options, and if you'd like to have more info, then all you have to do is just check in the description down below. And with all that said, I just want to say thank you guys so much for listening, and until next time, see you later, dudes!